Hello, my fellow pilots, and welcome to episode 8 of Star Citizen FM. My name is Dr. Hawk, and I'll be your host today with actually a lot of juicy stuff. Yeah, I won't say it now, but if you're reading the header, yes, that happened. Today we got Wingmans Hanger number 9, the week in review, all the usual stuff, a few little things, and then we'll move on to the meaty interview. So, yes, let's get right to it, shall we? In Wingmans Hanger episode 9, the week in review was pretty standard, except for the fact where Wingman got replaced by a hot chick. I would like to see this as a permanent addition. Sorry, Eric. Love ya, but tits. Yeah. Tits or GTFO? No. I kid there. Actually, that was a fan-submitted question that will be featured later. Actually got a pretty good action-packed show from Wingman. You guys almost clocked in a 50-minute video, which is pretty impressive. I'm liking these longer videos. There's a taste test you'll be seeing later if you're interested. Ed Alonius decided to continue the trend of boozing and sugaring them up, as well as another fan. We also got a reading from Alistair from the latest Jump Point magazine, issue 3, I believe. So if you'd like to view that, that will be up later in the descriptions. We got our usual wide weather news with another update as usual, although this time it's getting a little interesting. We have our promised interview with Zane Bien on regards to the website coming up for us, all the site changes and all the juicy stuff that we've been looking forward to. As well, they are still interviewing for the senior design position. I believe Rob Irving is in charge of that, checking them all out, so soon enough they'll have their senior designer. And they're still trying to pick between the physics programmers that they've narrowed down from last episode when I talked about them. Eric, you guys might just want to take like a pool cue or some broken beer bottles, throw them in a circle and just let them have at it. It'll be deathmatch, there can only be one, have a true Highlander style duel. Well, no, not really. If they're both talented and you guys really do hire them, as Eric says they might, then props, that'll just, yes, more wages being paid, but also more work going towards Star Citizen. So best of luck to those two programmers. Hopefully they both get hired, and if one doesn't, then we know who the true warrior is. As well, citizen cards. It's still been a big issue on the forum. Props to Sandy and all you guys at CIG. According to Eric, they are almost wrapped up and they almost have everything under control. So these, as I said before, the deadlines passed, are being sent out, mailed, packaged, cut, milled, stuck wherever, whatever they're doing. They're ready to go, and as far as Eric says, Eric, I don't know if he's helped too, but Sandy and all of them, they've replied to your emails, trying to link you guys, trying to get us all happy and content. And then the final little tidbit we got was more in relation to the hangar module that we'll see in the future. All we can do is just look to the future for more of that. No solid, concrete evidence as to what we can expect. In the meantime, we'll just have to wait and see what we get, and be patient. Yeah, that damn word that nobody likes. Patience. Who needs that? Coming up in the forum feedback, we actually got a good surprise. Chris Roberts himself, the man, stepped down from his wherever that god of a man goes to to take some time to answer some questions for the community himself, along with Eric. The first question was asked by Akaro, and again, apologies to anyone that I butcher their name. Hawk makes steaks. Steak. I could really use a bison steak. Anyways, Ackerel asked, what is the take on companies and corporations? He wanted to know, will you be able to own planets, or at least factories on planets, setting up infrastructure, as well as, general stance on companies and corporations. We will be able to have corporations, according to Chris, so offices on planets, making goods, etc. I think this ties back into the previous mentions of a player-controlled, or at least semi-player-controlled economy with game masters, putting things in here and there if needed. So this is probably directly related to that. So all those corps, etc. By the way, to the people messaging me, that want their spotlight, yeah, you guys, you'll be the prime of the game. Supplying fuel or bullets or pornography, whips, chains, condoms, whatever the hell they decide to manufacture. Maybe not in that particular order or necessarily those items, but they will be there for those that choose to pursue that path of industry or business. So, hell, maybe even selling people, according to Chris, if you're a slaver or some nasty person. The next question, Trulios, I rage quit. Is there a chance that Alien Rex, will contain unknown alien monsters? So, you board it and check it out. According to Chris, maybe there's this possible Easter egg. This is either something they do not want to discuss at this moment, have not thought of, or just have no comment at the moment. Immediately in my head, I somehow get the idea of aliens. I'm thinking of xenomorphs right off the bat, just boarding, and next thing you know, you got face huggers attacking you, or Chris's equivalent critter or creature. Because I'm pretty sure Sega or whoever would get pissed if we started having xenomorphs popping up. Maybe just pop in Alien Wreck and you got a bunch of Vandul having a tea party. Maybe see their softer side. Don't know. Darth Angelus asked, and with a creative video as well, can large ships be vulnerable in space? So, for example, you have your Bengal carrier, your Constellation, etc. You log out, you go sleep, come back, and what the fuck hacks? Where did my ship go? Chris clarified this is going to happen. So this is actually pretty similar to Eve's persistent universe. If you don't log out within a station or a safe area, whether you're in a normal ship or even a big one, you're going to be leaving a very big juicy target there for people. Now, he did go on to say that the smaller ships, so like your fighters and that, of course, will be able to land, but the larger capital ships that I'm assuming probably can't do in atmosphere re-entry, you'll have to find a safe place to put them. So either in UEE space, or, in a secret hideout, asteroid base, wherever you can fit it. Granted, some of these ships will get big, or just have your friends watching it 24 hours a day, non-stop. So, we're going to have to look after our ships, which automatically ruins my plans for a Death Star sitting in the middle of nowhere. Disappointed. Heartsblade asked what the current stance on NPC wingmen in the game are. Chris went on to explain that we'll be able to hire NPCs to, gun or, be part of the crew if we need them, boarding parties, etc. These are all dependent on the pay grade, though, so depending what you pay them, like the cheaper wingman is going to obviously have less skill and experience than, the guy that breaks your bank, but, pilots a Constellation like Jesus. So it'll be up to the player choice to decide who they want to hire. There was also a mention of players, too, being able to do that. So I think the best words Chris used were the Craigslist of NPCs and players in space. So it'll be very interesting to see how that follows through. In the next question, Awesome AD, with a cool video from the original Wing Commander video, regardless if you liked it or not, asked, if I'm injured, can I retire? So equivalent of, dying, or do I actually have to die? So, for example, if you don't want to continue, like maybe you're critically maimed and you lost a leg or something, and that impacts your performance so much that, just fuck it, I'll retire. I guess that automatically answers that. You can't just, take a pistol to the head. Oh, GG guys, I'll just respawn. but there's the potential that they're looking into a retiring sort of function. So just GG rage quit button, or just hey, let's let's restart and try again, because at this current point my character is too maimed or too ineffective for what I need to do. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Maybe got an old folks home in space where you get to visit all your ancestors, so to speak. Macamera followed through with the next question with an interesting little radio segment. Good job on that. Do I need to land on a home base to change ships? Or can I do this anywhere? Chris clarified this, that you will have one initial home base that you will be able to pick. Now that you didn't say where, like, sort of, there was no clarification, so I don't know if this means you could just say, well, I want to live here, or if there will be sort of a list of generic options that players can pick with maybe hidden ones or different ones. You know, you can find through exploration, etc. But there is also the possibility that, and well, he said you would be, to lease or rent other hangars in the universe. So while you will have one home base, and if you only have that, you know, you kind of have to truck back and forth in the universe to get your ships. You can lease out other hangars if you can afford it, and, you know, make the micromanaging of your inventory and ships a little bit easier. McQueen followed up with another interesting video in regards to a real-life question. Will sound be realistic or sci-fi-like? You know, no sound, no air, no gas and space for sound waves to travel. So are we going to have that, or our characteristic, you know, pew pew pew, bang bang, explosion, etc.? Chris went on to say that, you know, they've already kind of have some established sounds, and in general, from my view, and from what I've seen in entertainment, space battles are always a little more interesting when you do have some sounds. As fun as the realism is, it's very boring when you're just sitting there in silence shooting everything. And to no effect, just, you know, just really quiet. They might even follow the Dead Space 3 route. I just recently played that, very muffled on the outside, etc. Like, you'd hear your bangs and pews within the cockpit, and then, you know, everything else might have a more muffled sound. You know, just, I don't know, they can extrapolate with this and go how they please, but there was a mention of possibly including a realistic mode for those that actually do want the, you know, the no sound. They want to just immerse themselves, so we can look forward to that potentially. Razor X, I want to see this girl on Wingmans Hanger. I have to agree with them. Yeah, wait, sorry Eric, she's really competing with you here. Razor X asked if it's possible to have 6-axis data sent to an API for custom control systems. So those of us that want to make our, you know, control pit dens, our man caves of simulator awe, you know, if we just want to go nuts with it. Chris went on to say they are interested in doing this. There's no word for now, but given the fact that CryEngine, I don't know how many people know this, but CryEngine also markets its engine as a serious games application and simulator, so it's used, you know, as a flight simulator training, just like how there's, you know, serious simulations out there. I think even in Alberta here, Canada, where I am, 3DI, they do, I don't know if they use Unreal, but they make simulations for the oil workers up here, so running the rigs, the loaders, all that stuff, so people, you know, can smash them around and break them and not actually, you know, kill themselves in real life. So, given the fact it has that support, will make it already easier for them to integrate that if they so choose. So, we can make our awesome man caves to, yeah, the sky's the limit there if that's possible. This is what happens, followed up with or I think that, yeah, I'm gonna probably get smacked for this. Hawk Stake Alert. This is what happens used Wing Commander to ask a great question. Will it be possible to build relations with other creatures in the Star Citizen universe, so the other races, the aliens, etc., after the Squadron 42 campaign, hostile or otherwise? Chris said on, yeah, you will be. Some of them are neutral, some of them, you know, you'll have to work for, some of them will be harder than others. The biggest example being the Vanduul, because apparently they like to stab anything that isn't a Vanduul, especially humans, so your work will be cut out for you, but I guess if you wanted to try, it's there for you. But that was pretty much the sum of all of our fan-submitted questions. And again, props to the community. You guys are doing really good now. As Legante said earlier, this is your time to shine, get creative, get those creative juices flowing. Great work, looking forward to next week's. After the fan-submitted questions, we were given a bit of a sneak peek. Well, not really a sneak peek, but more, reading from Alistair, once again, from the latest Jump Point magazine, with some more Star Citizen fiction. Mentioned this earlier in previous episodes. If you want to check it out, go check it out in the description. It's both humorous and pretty cool to listen to and read at the same time. So go check out Alistair's reading of Star Citizen, or read up on the fiction itself. To check it out if you're interested. Other highlights: Ed Alonius, you crazy son of a bitch, he sent in a bunch of Dead Guy Ale, some more booze, Player Ready One, a pretty cool book that I actually probably should read, and a unique selection of mints and bubble wrap. I think the bubble wrap was probably the highlight, though. They look like that they enjoyed that quite a bit. Seriously, community, what the hell? I thought we went over this. We need to start sending them gas and dangerous things and sharp things. We won't get a game in this raid, though. We do hammer to code. Contrary to popular belief, coding while drunk does not actually work. Or at least in my case, I don't know. Other people might think otherwise, but yes, props to Ed Alonius. He sent in a care package for the crew. They later, Eric on the show, they hosted a sort of taste testing session of each individual one, reminding me of those weird malty-flavored jelly beans that were on Harry Potter. It's pretty much the same idea. Let's test this one and see if it's safe. Check that out. Pretty humorous. Not including the whole thing, because I'm actually trying to skim some things here because the interview here is fairly long. But more worldwide news, some more coverage on the meteor that hit Russia. The relation to the story this time is that there's a research group working on asteroid countermeasures, being that there are things in space floating around that we are not aware of, and having some form of countermeasure would be kind of wise. The concept is to launch a satellite or spacecraft in the general direction of the asteroid and use its own gravitational field to alter course. Now, this is all Eric said. Now, in my view, I don't know if this means, shooting it by it, and just by the minor gravitational field the spacecraft has alter the course of the asteroid, or just outright shoot the thing into the asteroid. That would be my way to do it, because it's always fun to smash things. So, I didn't honestly look at the article yet. I should, but I will be looking into it, and there should be a link in the description for any of those interested in following up on the article. I believe it was Asteroid Tracker. As well, we also had an update from our weatherman. Apparently, there's a little turbulence around Uranus. He said anus. Yes, short but funny nonetheless. I'm still looking forward to when they extrapolate on maybe the in-game weather, or maybe we'll just... anus. God, that never gets old. Sorry about that. Wingman followed up with the interview with Zane Bien. As mentioned before in previous episodes, Zane came on and he didn't suck. Apparently the rule on Wingmans Hanger is don't suck, and Zane, you did a great job. We got to see some little snippets of the website coming up. While small, it does look a lot more in-depth and beautiful than what we have now, so keep an eye out for these future updates, because Zane, you're a young guy, but they look pretty awesome. Props to you, buddy. I'm really looking forward to see what kind of integration you and excuse me, you and the guys have planned for the site. And check it out. There should be some little snippets playing of the website reveal right now, and all we can do is just wait for the future and see what kind of awesome stuff we get. Quoting Eric in the past, we won't be worthy. At least it won't be WordPress. So yes, the interview with Zane Bien, you can follow up on that and watch the whole thing on Wingmans Hanger. some final notes to finish off with is, yes, Andreas Westphal, again, I think I said that right. He sent in more sugar. At least he didn't send in booze, although there's nothing actually wrong with that. But he sent in a lot of candy for the crew good care package, so props to him for doing that. I'll be honest, I'm starting to think I should just call up my uncle. I have a family member who owns a winery in BC. I'm starting to think I should just get him to send you guys some booze of my own, so to speak. Guys, Eric, Chris, all that. What wines do you guys like? To let me know, because we need to talk. Let's get you some wine there. You guys have all that beer. Wine and steak. And other points, we can look forward to seeing Robert Irving next week for an update. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out for an interview with him. As well, by the time of this interview, Jump Point 3 should be out for you subscribers. So hopefully you're reading up on that and numbing on all the tasty tidbits that us regulars do not get. And on a word from that, the regulars can start looking forward to seeing some subscriber content becoming available with them. This being the engineering section of the website, should now be unlocked for regulars to view. So if you're interested in checking that out, take a look at that. So I guess without further ado, it's time to move on to the coup de grace, the main event, the fat stack, the juicy meal, screw it. Let's just do the transition. Well, everyone, it's been a long while coming, but I actually have the community to thank. Today we have an interesting interview with another interesting individual. Normally I like to interview the community and the fans, but today I am honored by a CIG employee himself. Everyone, this is Benjamin Lesnick.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Lesnick. I am community manager and part-time designer for Cloud Imperium Games, working on Star Citizen. Happy to be here talking to you today.
Well, again, thank you very much, Ben. It's just want to say right off the bat, it's a big thank you. I imagine you guys are quite busy, especially with all the alcohol and that coming your way to keep you guys sated, but working hard on Star Citizen, no doubt.
We are busy, but always time for fan stuff. I mean, we wouldn't be here without the community, and it's a different kind of game development, so we want to be right out there as much as we can.
Fair enough. So, to the people that aren't familiar with you on the chat roll or the forums, or just, maybe tuning in right now and have no idea what Star Citizen is, mind explaining what you do a little bit, in relation to your title, etc.?
Alright, well, I'm community manager, so I've kind of been organizing all the community aspects of the game since, I guess, well before we actually announced. Any blog entry you see at the site is me. A lot of the any sort of messaging comes through me, at least. And I've been involved in the design of the game itself, working with Chris Roberts and everyone, coming up with those ships that you all are buying, that sort of thing.
So, pretty much you're the sheep herder of the community, I guess you'd say. And that's a good thing. We're pretty crazy. We're a pretty crazy group, I think so.
It's been an interesting experience.
Any highlights or frustrating moments that the community has presented to you?
It has been a very non-frustrating community. I'm used to working with the Wing Commander community, and they are a lot of very much older, set in their ways fans who do not like things changing or anything Electronic Arts would announce they would be unhappy with, no matter what it was. But with the Star Citizen community, it's been great. Everyone is just willing to go with. They trust us. They're willing to. I've never seen a game community that's said, we trust the company, which has been spectacular. Stuff like permadeath, that was terrifying to everyone when they first heard the idea. They waited for Chris. Even things like just waiting for the citizen cards, because we had planned to have them out by Christmas, and we had to delay them, and people were just absolutely understanding. It's not like any other community I've ever worked with or encountered.
Well, you guys are doing really good, and props to you on the citizen cards, because regardless, I think everyone can agree that it's been a bit of a fiasco once you actually start taking the logistics of physical property into account for a lot of... yeah, you guys have a lot of buyers last I checked. 8 million now in funding, so congrats to you guys. And Chris, I know the Kickstarter itself ended, but you guys still got money coming in.
I can't believe it. I guess if you started out at the beginning of the campaign, we had all those disasters with the website not working right. I can't believe we made that back and got here, honestly.
Well, you're still standing, so hopefully you'll still be standing once we start getting into the alpha and beta testing, and then we will really start whacking for you guys. Or at least I will.
And with regards to citizens cards, I absolutely have to point out Sandy Gardner, Cindy Armstrong, and Pete Mackey. They've just been doing an incredible job with that. They're the folks to credit with.
Props to them. Maybe I'll have to talk to them sometime and congratulate them. So, what other previous work have you done? Like, what brought you to CIG? You know, like you're working on Star Citizen now, but you know, what's your portfolio like? If you're willing to discuss some of that.
Oh, sure. This is my first real, unquote, gaming job. Back in 1996, I was a teenager doing a Wing Commander website in the early days of the internet. And Neil Young
my time.
Long time ago. I can't believe how long it's been now. Neil Young, who was the president of Origin, came and asked me if I would run the Wing Commander community for Origin. I started WCNews.com with Chris Reed and ran that site for what's still going, daily updates. So 15, I can't even count the years, a long time. And of course I got to know everybody who worked on the Wing Commander games over the years, and Chris especially, and he was always trying to come back. He would always trying to get back to Wing Commander gaming. And I would occasionally help him out with little projects, and finally he came up with Star Citizen, and I got involved very early in the campaign for figuring out how to get the word out, that sort of thing.
So, I guess you would say that's what your interest in, like that's your interest in Star Citizen, that's what brought you to it, is your prior experience with Chris Roberts?
Yes, I am a huge Wing Commander fan. I've worked on a couple of Wing Commanders for EA. I did the documentation for Wing Commander Arena. I did the manual. If people know that, it was the one part of the game people liked. So, yeah.
Good for you.
I worked on a couple of projects that never made it out. There was a browser-based privateer that I am fairly glad got canceled because people would have hated that so much. I did the Game Boy port of Wing Commander Prophecy, taking a 3 CD game and putting it on a Game Boy Advance cartridge somehow.
I'll just say that's black magic. But,
this is my first serious game development job, and it's been a great experience. I went to school in Austin, and I moved back east, and I just jumped at this chance to come back here for Star Citizen.
Fair enough. So, would you be able to tell the community what you're working on right now, like within limits to what you can tell us? I understand that, but what's a day in the life of Ben? What does Ben do when he's working?
Well, I will tell the community that we just finished working on the specifications for the Idris and the Gladiator. So you may be seeing those soon, hopefully. But this last week, our big focus was getting Jump Point out, of course, and the messaging about the website. That was Thursday and Friday, pretty much. Another person who credits Zane Bien just does an incredible job with the front-end web stuff. I guess you all saw the sample on Friday. It's
yes.
going to be fantastic when it gets out there. So it's been great working with him.
Very talented, and young, but very talented guy.
Yeah, he's got a great story. You'll have to get him on your show.
Sure. Oh, there we go. more forwarding. I won't deny it. I'll do an interview with Zane. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so my day is kind of divided up between a lot of back and forth with other designers, talking to Chris, Rob Irving, Pete Mackey, about how the game's going to work, and then a lot of interaction with the fans. I'm on chat roll all the time. I'm the one who doesn't have the specific chat roll period, so I'm just in and out, and it's great getting to know everybody, and it's a strange group of people on chat roll. So shout out to Zane and Minx and Princess and everybody.
I'm pretty sure they'll appreciate that. I think your official nickname is the Benner, although knowing they're voting, they'll probably vote on something, either that or something zanier.
Well, I can tell you that my call sign for all those years in the Wing Commander community was loaf, like a loaf of bread. So if you all want that, you're welcome to it.
Any backstory behind that?
There's not really a backstory beyond that. I happened to come up with it, and it fascinated everyone because they thought it had a backstory. And that was how I kind of got known at the Origin chat zone in mid-90s. People were like, what does loaf mean? What does loaf mean? Like, it's a secret. I can't tell you. But it actually has no meaning.
Geez, so you're just leading them on. That's
yes.
That's just blue balling someone. It's horrible. How could you do that? No, that's fine. I've never been much for call signs, but to whatever people recognize you, it's actually a cool thing. I don't normally use Dr. Hawk, and next thing you know, everyone knows me by Dr. Hawk, so you go with what the community likes, I guess.
We definitely know you as Dr. Hawk at Sig Austin. Heard your name spoken many times. You people are fond of your podcast. It's a great measure of the community.
I try. Eventually, I have to go global. My plans for world domination will wait. So, you as an employee have your own job to do, but, I'm pretty sure everyone at CIG would like to just sit down and play the game eventually. What do you as a player hope to see in Star Citizen? I know it's hard because you pretty much know what's going to be in the game, but if you had a choice to sit down with Chris, or just, if you were a jack of all trades and could do what you want, what would you see in Star Citizen?
It's a good question. What do I want to see in Star Citizen? I mean, it's Privateer but big, and that's the game I've wanted to play for the last 20 years. I guess it's 19 years since Privateer came out. It's a game that makes so much sense. You take Privateer and you add other people. Origin tried to do it again and again with Privateer Online, and they kept canceling it in favor of other Ultima Onlines, and it's just that being part of the living universe, making your way in space. That's a very broad answer, but I'm very excited about the living universe. I'm excited about seeing the story advance in real time, seeing the players shape the universe, especially with this group of people, with this community that is so responsive and so owns the game so much. I'm interested in seeing where they take it, because we're building the game in such a way that it's theirs rather than ours. I mean, I know Chris has visions for events he wants to see in the future and places he wants to take the backstory. But I feel like it's not just going to be a bunch of people trying to break the game like they do with other MMOs. It should be interesting.
Right. I'll be honest, one day it would be nice to sit down with Chris and pick his brain, because he's got some interesting ideas, that man.
Pretty much how development works. We get time with Chris to figure out what he has a distinct vision for a lot of this that has not changed at all.
No doubt. So, no general. You just want to see the game succeed and flourish?
I do. There are very specific things I want to see that I've kind of snuck in there already. The Retaliator bomber was one of mine. I've always wanted to see like a big Flying Fortress style bomber in a space game. They came close with Commander Prophecy, but with the Devastator bomber, but you never got the feel that you were in a big multi-crew bomber. Actually, the crewed ships in general, having a constellation with a buddy. I'm interested to see if it's actually fun to fly with a friend as a turret. I mean, I know people love that in Halo. I never got into it, but I'm interested to see that kind of Millennium Falcon crew, multiple people working together. and getting that to work right. If we can do it, I'm sure we can. It's going to be spectacular.
It'll definitely be interesting. You gotta remember, there are some people that just don't want to fly or control. I remember even when I did Halo, some people would just be like, Luke, drive! Drive! Oh, fine. Some people just want to shoot stuff.
That car turned me off of Halo. I played the original Halo, I got to the car, I think I got it stuck upside down or something, and I stopped playing Halo forever.
I think the Warthog will always have its iconic, super sensitive suspension that you can't even drive over a pebble without it flying all over the place.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, no wonder humanity got its ass kicked in that series. Like, geez, the frickin' vehicles alone couldn't stay straight. Okay, guys, jump in. Flips over. Oh, well, GG, guys, we're done. So, another thing, in relation to the Star Citizen universe, when you finally do sit down and play, you've been pretty broad with your answers, but what is the Benner going to do? Are you going to be exploring? Are you going to be, a pirate? Are you going to be a bounty hunter? What would the Benner do in the Star Citizen universe?
Exploring, definitely. I'm very excited about that mechanic. I find I'm very bad at trading in general. I could never get into the shipping goods in Privateer. I would figure out how to do it so it would be profitable, and then I'd immediately get bored and go find someone to fight. I'm also terrible at breaking the law in this sort of game, so I will almost certainly be like a militia pilot or something. I feel bad murdering civilians in games.
That's not a bad thing. So we can expect you, like, helping out all the people that need help, and maybe, if Zane is trying to prey on poor people and eat him, you'll shoot him down because he's a scum of the earth and needs to be destroyed. Oh, okay. Benner's coming to get you, Zane. You're in trouble.
I also, and this is terrible for community building, but I also love the single-player games. I'm probably as, if not more, excited about Squadron 42. Seeing Chris Roberts come back to a narrative game is a big deal for me.
Again, that's not a bad thing. Single-player, multiplayer, it's all personal preference and to each their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I have some fan-submitted questions here, and we'll start off with the first one from Anton. I think I'm saying it right.
In answer to the fans, no, I do not know when the Aurora or the Retaliator or the Idris is coming out. And if I did, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, well, there you go. First fan-submitted question by Anton is, my question, which of the various Wing Commander games is your favorite, and why?
I like the original Wing Commander. I think got it just right in terms of kind of the shape of the game, the branching trees, and just the feel of it, where you weren't quite the giant Luke Skywalker superhero. You just kind of influenced the war. And of all that, I think the Secret Missions 2 expansion was just exactly the right balance between story and gameplay, and that's where his stride. Privateer is also up there, because it was like nothing I'd played before, just having your own ship and making your way in the galaxy. But I love the feel of Wing Commander 1, the visual aesthetic, the universe it builds without outright telling you what's going on. That was the best for me. Secret Missions 2 Crusade.
Fair enough. Good question. Good answer. The next question comes from Rageburst, and actually I think this will help some people because you had mentioned this before in the interview. Rageburst asks, up until now we haven't seen much indication of what kind of gameplay a Star Citizen will have. So far with the game design, if you had to pick one, which past game will Star Citizen most resemble to in terms of flight controls? Star Lancer, Privateer, Wing Commander, Jumpgate, Freelancer, Evotron, etc. You'd mentioned earlier that you found it like Privateer but with people, and other people have made the comparison to Eve in space but with flight control. What can we expect?
Certainly nothing like Eve. Nothing like Freelancer, sadly, which I know there are a lot of Freelancer fans out there who love that mouse control, guns target for you. But no, it's going to be Wing Commander writ large. So Wing Commander with a much deeper flight model. Everything is correct in terms of physics, and I mean there's fly-by-wire, so it's more like Wing Commander. It'll feel a little bit more arcadey, but not not to the extent that Wing Commander and Privateer did. But yeah, it's a game where you need some skill to succeed. No click to win, no Diablo or Eve style. Get the best thing and click on the other guys till they're dead.
Yeah, as much as I loved Eve, I do have to agree with people that all it came down to really is how much people do you have over the other guy, or who has the bigger boots when it comes to a duel. Because you just sit there kicking each other's shins, and eventually one of you falls over.
I guess if you imagine like Wing Commander 2, one person could be flying a ferret, and the other could be flying a broadsword, and obviously the broadsword's larger, has more weapons, but if the guy in the ferret's good enough, he's going to take down the bomber every time. So that's what we're going for. No advantage for having lots of money. We're a gameplay-focused flight model.
Fair enough. Now, a quick mention. You did mention that you a 6-axis of freedom. You want to have fly-by-wire. Now, when I think fly-by-wire, does that mean force feedback? Like flight games and flight simulators, I'm used to. Some people, you kind of have to fight the aircraft because they're simulating air, drag. If you yaw, it's going to move around. Do you mean you said more arcadey, so will it feel more crisp, or will there be a sense of feedback from the ship? Because it's kind of hard to imagine feedback in space where there's no resistance, really.
There's not going to be a great... Right now, there's actually a lot of feedback. It's kind of hard to control your fighter. It's going to balance out quite a bit as we go along. But no, not like a Falcon or some air game. You can tell my game references are stuck in the mid-90s.
Falcon was good. I played Falcon, okay?
No, when I say fly-by-wire, it's more... if you're actually flying a spaceship, it would be pretty dull, because you'd have to control the individual thrusters, and you'd have to... If you overcompensate in one direction, you'd have to carefully balance it in the other. So when we say fly-by-wire, it's more of a...
It does it for you.
Doing all that for you and making it more fun. At the end of the day,
we have people ending duels by going off into the depths of space or just endlessly spitting without even firing a shot.
Yeah, so we're building all that into the engine of the game, and then we're making it more fun for the actual player.
Fair enough. The final question is from Bearcat, and he says, "Are ship designs like the Constellation trying to get the cockpit out of our way? Does the Star Citizen team view the old cockpits as a hack to allow old computers to render the action in a much smaller area of the screen?" Now, what I'm trying to... I think what he's asking is, will he be able to mess around with the viewports and such?
No, we're not trying to get rid of the cockpits. If anything, we're bringing cockpits back. What you're seeing in the Constellation, the Aurora, is it's actually completely separate. They're both supposed to be built by Robert Space Industries. They're both designed by Ryan Church. So there's supposed to be a similar aesthetic between the two ships. And you're going to see that in all of our ships. All the MISC ships are going to look similar. We're trying to build a living universe in that way. But no, we're not trying to get rid of the cockpits. You're going to see full cockpits that obstruct your vision, and the idea is to make it seem like the real thing. Well, one of the first things Chris Roberts talked about to me was we need to bring back the cockpits. There's a lot of regret over dropping the Wing Commander 4, which is interesting. I mean, Origin did Wing Commander 4. It had a 10-month production schedule, which is insane for what was then the most expensive game in history. And so they just had to drop things like cockpits. And then everybody else in the industry said, "Oh, Origin's not doing cockpits anymore. That must mean people don't like cockpits." So then every game after that didn't have them. But it was a time-saving thing for the Wing 4 team. And you lose a lot when you don't have them. Even if people turn them off immediately, you have to have them in there so that people get the sense that they're actually in a spaceship. I know you can create like fiction about how you're looking through VR goggles or some field of view enhancing device or something, but it's just not the same. I think of Wing Commander 1. You can tell the difference between the 5 different ships from the look of them. A Hornet is completely different from a Scimitar or a Dralthi, and anyone who played Wing Commander 1 knows what those ships feel like. Privateer 2 had 18 different ships, and I could not tell you the difference between two of them because they all look exactly the same without the cockpit.
Right.
So, yes, cockpits are back. They're modeled in 3D. You're going to... Well, you've probably seen the Hornet cockpit in the demo. It's actually has a lot of panels and things that have struck your view, and that we're definitely going to have that looked in some of the military ships.
Well, actually, I want to expand on this. A question from the Hawk. I'm a old... my father brought me up on Marathon, Tomb Raider, and Mech Warrior. Those were my vices when as a kid, and in Mech Warrior, I've always been a very, very strong proponent for first-person view. Mech Warrior Online, props to that team, I play it a bit. I like how they kept it original, no third person. You couldn't look over a hill and abuse the view mechanic. Are you guys going to be going further with this, enforcing first person view, or will you be able to change the first person to third person, or like you mentioned, get rid of the cockpit and have a virtual cockpit so there's no obstructions? Or is it undecided at this point?
Short answer is it's not decided. It's a big debate. I guess pretty much the same debate that the fans are having. There's a lot to be said for forcing players to see the cockpit, but we also have a lot of people coming from Freelancer who want to see the ship. A lot of people who just aren't used to that sort of view really in the space game. So it is. We're still trying to figure out what the best balance is. So all I can say for sure is absolutely you're going to have cockpits, and we'll see about the other stuff.
Fair enough. My 2 cents is go first person, but that's just me. So, yeah, that was pretty much all I had formulated for the interview. If there's any closing questions for me or comments that you'd like to address, feel free, but if you don't at this point, I think we're pretty good, and I want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it's for first interview with CIG, I don't think I did half that bad.
No, you did great. This has been a lot of fun. I'm happy to come back sometime when I can say more about the game. I'd say to the community, it's absolutely fantastic getting to know everyone. I'm sure that every community manager in the world tells their community that they're the best community, but you guys truly are amazing. And I feel like we could make a strong argument that you truly are the best community. I've never seen people who send the developers presents in the mail and who are just there all day, and the game is 2 years away, and you've already formed new guilds and clans, and you're arguing with each other over the tiniest bits of mechanics that don't exist yet. And we are constantly in awe of our community. You guys are incredible.
Well, it sounds good, and note to that, like I said to my viewers before, I eventually look forward to the day when you can post tutorials and compare the ships and break them down, because for now I can only extrapolate.
You'll be seeing more ships soon. The Aurora is next. I can't say when, but it's coming.
Fair enough. I still have to find a ship for the Hawk. I don't even know what I'm doing in the game yet. But anyways, I want to again thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the interview. Everyone, this is Benjamin Lesnick, or Ben, and Dr. Hawk. I'd like to say take care and fly safe, but I'll let Benjamin say bye himself.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Great talking to you. I will see you out there.
Alright. Take care and fly safe, guys.